Did you know that only 3% of Europeans are millionaires? And typically, getting there takes decades. In fact, the average millionaire globally is 57 years old. So why is it so hard to get rich? As a professional investor with experience both on Wall Street and here in Europe, I've worked with hundreds of millionaires over the years. I want to show you the science of getting rich and how you can use it to improve your chances. Let's start with a thought experiment. What if everybody in the world were rich? Well, I define rich as having enough money so you don't have to work for the rest of your life. All your needs, food, clothes, schools for your kids, everything is provided by somebody else. So what happens if everybody is rich? Well, imagine that you get hungry. You call up your local restaurant. The phone rings and it rings again and no one picks up. All the waiters quit their jobs to chill on the beach. You flip the light switch on in the living room, but nothing happens because all the electricians at the power plant retired early to travel around the world. Now, clearly, this is impossible. Not unless Elon Musk creates 8 billion robot servants to serve all of us. This silly thought experiment actually tells us something fundamental about wealth. Yes, some societies like America and Germany are wealthier than others, like Liberia or Cambodia. Productivity in such countries is higher and people's lives are more comfortable. Work is easier. If you took a middle-class person from Germany and put them in Liberia, they would be considered rich. But within any given society, rich individuals are always rare. That is because for every rich person, there need to be many other people who are not rich. Now, obviously, this raises important moral questions about fairness and equality. But let's put that aside and ask the greedy question instead. How do you get more money than everybody else? Well, you need some mechanism which will generate money for you at a faster pace than what everybody else is doing. This could be a brilliant investment, a great side hustle, or an amazing business. So let's take these one at a time. Imagine that you discover an amazing stock, which is so underpriced that you are certain to make a lot of money buying it. What do? Well, of course, you buy as much of the stock as possible. As you buy more of the stock, you have to offer a higher and higher price to convince other people to sell it to you. And then other investors notice that the price of the stock is shooting up. They jump into the opportunity. And within seconds, minutes, or at most days, the stock price goes up. This opportunity disappears. Now let's say you notice an amazing side hustle, like social media influencing. When social media first got started, a few early movers became huge influencers. They made millions per year, and everybody noticed. So what happened next? Everyone and their mom became an influencer. Millions of people around the world started spending hundreds of hours per year chasing views on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Today, it's incredibly difficult to stand out, so that the vast majority of influencers make no money at all or just a little. And the same thing happens in business. Let's say you're a gym owner who invents a new marketing campaign which is super successful at attracting new clients to your gym. For a few months, it works great. Your gym is packed. But then all the competitors in town notice and copy your strategy, and your advantage disappears. These are not exceptional cases. This is a universal rule of markets and business. Any opportunity for excess profits attracts competition, which in turn removes the opportunity. This is the fundamental challenge that you need to overcome if you want to get rich. So how do you do that? Well, here are 5 principles that you will need. To explain the first principle, let me tell you about my first business success. It was co-founding a pension fund here in Latvia called Indexo. But we didn't just launch another pension fund. We saw a problem in the market, which was extremely high fees, and we disrupted the market by cutting fees in half and becoming the first to offer index investing in our country. And this innovation got us a lot of attention and clients quickly. So the first principle is innovate. If you do what everybody else does, you will, on average, get the same results as everybody else. Now, don't get me wrong. You can absolutely build modest wealth by using proven business models. You can start a McDonald's franchise or a marketing agency or an accountancy firm. You can buy that online training course and learn the best practices for your industry and work hard for 10 to 20 years. And eventually, you will become wealthy. But if you want to build wealth faster, you need to find new opportunities that other people are not using yet. To illustrate principle number 2, let me go back to Indexo, our pension fund. So we disrupted the market by cutting fees and offering a new product, index funds. But Just a few years later, all our major competitors were also offering index funds and low fees. Our advantage disappeared. We were able to succeed and grab a big market share by moving quickly. So that's principle number 2. Speed matters. As soon as you discover an opportunity, you have to spend every waking hour to take advantage of it. Squeeze as much value out of it as possible because it is going away. To understand principle number 3, you have to realize that many of the world's wealthiest people did not succeed because they had a brilliant business idea or tremendous skills. Yes, their skills or ideas were behind their initial success, but they only kept succeeding because their business had a moat, a defense that kept competitors from jumping in and driving down their profits. In the worst unethical cases, this can be through government corruption, like with the oligarchs who grabbed control of entire sections of the Russian economy after the fall of the USSR. More often, it happens through regulation. For example, competition for our pension fund was limited because it's hard to get a license and start a new pension fund. In other cases, your moat can be patents or intellectual property, which competitors cannot legally copy. If you can ethically build a moat to keep your competition out, getting rich is much easier. So that's principle number 3. Principle 4 is one of the most difficult to understand. It's really counterintuitive because of the way that our brains work. When we look at somebody who is rich and successful and we hear them talk about their methods, we naturally assume that they got rich because of those methods. But just because somebody got rich does not mean that you can copy their approach and get the same results. You have to ask, how much did this result depend on luck? Let's compare two people. Bob is a 60-year-old lawyer. For 35 years, he's been working 60-hour weeks at a successful law firm in town. He's been saving and investing, and today his net worth is 5 million euros. If you ask Bob, he will tell you that the key to his success was hard work, discipline, and perseverance. Is Bob a reliable role model for building wealth? I would say yes. If you work hard at a high-income profession for decades, you can almost certainly build this kind of wealth. By contrast, look at Emma. She's the 40-year-old CEO of a tech startup which just got sold for €1 billion. Emma's net worth is 200 million euros. Now, if you ask her, Emma will also tell you that the key to her success was hard work and discipline and perseverance and all those things. But is Emma a reliable role model for building wealth? Well, according to industry data, 9 out of 10 tech startups fail completely. And most of those startups are run by hardworking, disciplined founders who persevere when things get tough. What is more, out of the surviving startups, only a tiny fraction ever gets to €1 billion valuation. If you want to get really rich, Emma shows you that it is possible in the startup world. In fact, if you want to be a billionaire, launching a tech startup is one of the few strategies which can do that for you. But following Emma's example does not make it likely that you will succeed. If you believe that, you have been fooled by survivorship bias. So that's principle number 4. Account for luck and watch out for survivorship bias. And then we have principle number 5, which is all about evaluating profit opportunities in 2 dimensions. The first dimension is the average expected outcome. How much money you can expect to make on average from this opportunity. But the second dimension, which is equally important, is the spread or distribution of outcomes. Is it the case that everybody who tries this opportunity gets something very close to the average? Or is it that some people get very little while others are wildly successful? For example, imagine that you're a web designer. There are a few different ways you could make money. Your first choice would be to go work for a company that designs websites. Okay? In that case, your expected earnings are quite good and the spread of outcomes is very narrow. In most cases, if you follow this career path, you will have maybe a little above the average income, a little below the average income, but it's somewhere around there. It's not going to be crazy low or crazy high. The second choice that you have would be to start your own web design agency and find clients and design websites for them. The average profit that you could expect is likely higher. You are taking more risk, and as the business owner, you can make more money. But the range of outcomes is also wider. There are some web design companies which will go bust or underperform, and there are others which will make quite a bit of money. But even with the second choice, the range of outcomes is still limited. A web design company is not that likely to go completely bust, and it is extremely unlikely to make you into a billionaire. And then let's say there's a third choice. You decide to start your own social media app by using your web design skills. In this case, your average expected earnings could still be decent because there is a tiny chance that you build the next Facebook or LinkedIn. But the range of outcomes looks a lot more like this. You've got this huge number of failures on this end, and then there's a tiny handful of big successes. In the vast majority of cases, you will end up with nothing. Now, in fact, I really like the startup industry. I might launch a tech startup myself one day, but I understand this concept of a range of possible outcomes. So I will not start a startup until I have enough wealth where I don't care if it fails. Until I have that much wealth, I'm going to work at my online education business where the range of outcomes is much narrower, it's much more reliable, and I'm going to invest my savings into the market to build my wealth. This path will not make me into a billionaire, but it will almost certainly work quite well. When Dave Ramsey did his survey of American millionaires, he found that most wealthy people did not become wealthy because they got an inheritance, or because they sold a business, or earned a super high income. 75% got rich because of patient, long-term investing. It may not be the most exciting approach, but it's a lot more reliable than the other methods. Now, if that sounds attractive to you, if you live in Europe and want to invest your money but don't know how to get started, then watch this video next where I will walk you step by step through everything that you need to know as a new investor in Europe.